What you truly own is not your bank balance, not the number on a screen, not the list of assets beside your name, not the title other people use when they introduce you. What you truly carry is your frequency. If abundance were only a number in an account, why do some people spend half a life building savings and still feel anxious when the month closes? If safety were only a salary, insurance policy, or apartment key, why do so many people work relentlessly for a respectable life and still feel that quiet blade of worry beneath everything? The question is not only how much you have. The deeper question is what you are transmitting. Is your awareness resting in the warmth of gratitude or tangled in the dark current of anxiety? Are you sending the steady signal of, "I already have," or the thin, nervous signal of, "I still lack"? That difference shapes a life more than most people realize. It decides whether you are constantly pulled apart by small forms of scarcity or surrounded by openings that seem to arrive with unusual timing. And the shift does not always require years. A few moments of conscious interruption, a few honest changes in thought, a few practices of returning the body to the feeling of already having. These can begin moving a person out of anxiety and into a very different kind of financial sovereignty. This is not fantasy. It is a way of learning to work with the inner system that is already shaping your choices, your attention, and your future. This is Momentum Arc, a space for inner exploration and spiritual growth. Your likes, comments, subscriptions, and super thanks do more than support this work. They help this energy reach more souls who are ready for real change. Dr. Joe Dispenza has become one of the most recognizable figures in today's conversation around inner transformation. As a writer, teacher, and speaker, he is best known for weaving together ideas from neuroscience, consciousness, meditation, and the body into a practical language of change. His book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, became widely known because it speaks to a question many people carry quietly. Can a human being move beyond the patterns of memory and habit and begin creating a different future from the inside? In Dispenza's framework, the mind is not merely a recorder of the past. It can become an architect of the future. If thought and emotion keep repeating the same old state, the body learns to live in the past. But when thought and feeling begin vibrating with the sense that the desired future is already real, the person begins relating to life from a different field of possibility. That is the central idea beneath what we might call large-scale manifestation. Desire is not enough. Wanting is not enough. A person has to move out of the emotional signature of lack and enter the felt reality of already having. This is where the whole path begins, not with forcing the world to change, but with changing the state from which you are meeting the world. The story you believe most deeply is the movie your future keeps replaying. The human brain is like a faithful but stubborn recording device. Much of what we call thinking is not fresh thinking at all. It is yesterday playing again. A childhood moment of being denied something small may later become a hidden belief that says, "I do not deserve to have what I want." A sentence heard too often in the family home may become an invisible limit around money, success, or personal worth. These memories may seem minor, but over time they can become the quiet force behind countless choices. If the inner theater is never examined, later effort often becomes like building a castle on sand. Dispenza's work points toward a different possibility. The inner state is not fixed. It is more like soil that can be worked again. Every deep emotional experience plants something. Every conscious choice to believe differently turns the ground. Every moment of gratitude, joy, and trust begins softening the old tracks of fear and lack. The old snow does not disappear through violence. It melts when another season begins. To change this inner programming, the process has to be gentle but firm. First, awareness. Become quiet enough to notice the beliefs that have been running beneath your choices. I am not worthy. Money is hard to earn. Abundance is far away. These are not facts, they are echoes. Then, release. With slow breathing and honest feeling, let the old emotional charge loosen. Let the body stop carrying a story that no longer belongs to the life you are choosing now. Finally, replace. Once the inner space becomes softer, plant new beliefs with care. I am already connected to abundance. I am worthy of a life that is full and generous. I am naturally linked with the resources of the universe. This practice may sound simple, but repetition gives it force. If you spend 5 minutes each night for 21 days meeting yourself in this way, the old circuits begin to lose authority. A freer structure starts forming, quietly, almost without spectacle, like new growth under the surface of spring soil. When we speak of manifestation, we are not talking about sitting back and waiting for miracles to fall from the sky. We're talking about using intention, attention, and emotion to begin living from the frequency of a future before that future has visibly arrived. In the language of quantum possibility, the future is not one fixed road, it is a field of potentials. Attention acts like a beam of light. Wherever you keep placing it, one version of reality begins receiving more energy. If attention is constantly placed on lack, life begins arranging more scenes that confirm lack. If attention is placed on abundance with real emotional weight, the mind and body begin relating to the world differently. You see other doors. You take other actions. You stop shrinking from the very opportunities you once said you wanted. Attention is not passive watching. It is participation. But attention alone is not enough. The observation that changes a life is not cold and intellectual. It carries feeling. Emotion is the password of frequency. Fear, anxiety, and scarcity create one atmosphere inside the body. Gratitude, joy, and the felt sense of already having create another. To manifest at a larger scale, the body has to taste abundance before the account balance proves it. Not pretending, not forcing positivity over panic, but allowing the nervous system to feel, even briefly, what it would be like to live without arguing against your own receiving. Try this. Close your eyes and imagine that your bank account has suddenly gained 3 zeros. Do not calculate it at first. See it. Let the image become clear, like a sharp screenshot. Hear the sound of the notification. Feel the weight of a check in your hand. Notice the breath that enters when your body realizes it is safe. Then find even a small warmth in the chest. With each breath, let that warmth spread through the body. Let the feeling become less like a thought and more like a climate you can stand inside. 3 minutes is enough to begin. Practice it several times a day. Each time you enter the feeling of already having, you are not escaping reality. You are training the inner system to recognize a different reality as possible. Somewhere beneath conscious effort, the gears of the future begin to turn. Inspiration is often the field handing you a message before the mind has had time to understand it. A sudden idea, a phrase that arrives out of nowhere, the urge to call someone, a detail you feel drawn to investigate. These are not always random. Sometimes they are small seeds waiting for your response. That is why it helps to keep an inspiration journal. Write down what arrives, record the time, record the content. Give the idea a quick intuitive score. If something feels like an 8 out of 10 or higher, take one small action within a short window. Send the email, make the call, save the draft, open the document. Do not demand that every sign arrive with thunder. Large paths often begin as quiet instructions. Action does not need to be dramatic at the beginning. The real accelerator is micro-action. Break the larger desire into small, immediate steps. Finish one. Give yourself a simple acknowledgement. Then take the next. These small actions may look unimpressive from the outside, but they carry a clear message. I am ready. I am participating. I am willing to meet what I asked for. There will still be moments when the plan breaks. A door closes. A result comes back differently from what you expected. In those moments, do not rush to condemn yourself. Ask a more precise question. Has my frequency drifted, or is life asking me to adjust the path? If the inner state has collapsed into fear, return to gratitude, joy, and the feeling of enoughness. If the strategy needs correction, adjust the action without attacking the original desire. A real manifestor is not someone who never falls out of alignment. It is someone who can recognize the drift quickly and return to the channel without turning one delay into a new identity. Large-scale manifestation is not a single leap. It is a rhythm, a journey with stages. The first stage is breaking the old program. This is the work of opening the black box, 21 days of release, reflection, and quiet inner reconstruction. Old limiting beliefs do not disappear just because we resent them. They loosen when they are seen, breathed through, and replaced with something more alive. The second stage is building a new frequency. This is where the 3-minute tuning practice becomes essential. 2 or 3 times a day, you give the body an experience of abundance already being here. You do not only imagine a future, you teach the body to recognize its emotional texture. The third stage is collecting signals. Through the inspiration journal, you begin noticing how life speaks in small, precise movements. A thought, a meeting, a question, a strange pull towards something that later proves important. Write them down. Watch the patterns. The fourth stage is execution with compound force. Break the large goal into many small steps. Use focused time blocks. Reward completed movement. Each small action is a brick in an invisible bridge. Over time, repetition becomes architecture. The final stage is stable output. This is where failure immunity matters. When difficulty appears, you do not collapse into self-doubt. You breathe, reflect, recalibrate, and continue. The point is not to avoid every setback. The point is to become a person who can meet setbacks without abandoning the future you have chosen. Seen as a whole, the process resembles a double helix. Intention and action winding around each other, emotion and practice strengthening each other, until a new blueprint begins replicating itself through daily life. There are 2 inner time zones a person can wake up inside. In one, the first thought of the morning is, there is still not enough. The emotional color of that world is comparison, anxiety, and waiting. People in this state are constantly moved by outer conditions. They hesitate, watch, postpone, and lose opportunities that might have been held if the inner signal had been steadier. In the other time zone, the first movement of the morning is gratitude. Life has given me another day to create. From there, the person does not need perfection. They need one clear step, a list, a breath, a small action, a willingness to move again from the frequency of abundance rather than the reflex of lack. The distance between these 2 lives may begin with a single thought, but over time, it becomes a different destiny. Manifestation is not a game of command and obedience. It is closer to a silent dance, a rhythm between the soul and the larger intelligence of life. When your thoughts are clear, your feelings are alive, and your actions are aligned, you become a stable channel for abundance. Every breath and every choice begins to carry the same message. I am ready to hold more. Great wealth is not attracted by panic. It does not respond to the smell of lack. It moves toward those who have built an inner container large enough to receive it. That container is not merely a financial goal, it is a state of identity. A quiet knowing that you are already whole, already connected, already capable of meeting the resources that life sends toward you. May this method for manifesting at a larger scale become less of a technique and more of an inner climate. May every breath carry the echo of fullness. May every glance hold the light of already having. And when that frequency has entered the texture of your life, what you once called a wish may begin appearing with the inevitability of morning light. The spark may begin quietly, but if you keep tending it, it can light your path and eventually warm the lives of others who are still searching for their own way forward.